Hello, many thanks for joining us on the decks here on Global Television. My name is Edikan Michael. We're taking a look at the top big stories today. And don't forget that it's now a roundup for the POS operators in the country, as the federal government have given timed allocations for registrations, as CSC is ongoing, has opened the portal for registrations. And I mean, several reactions to that effect. What happened? I mean, to the fact that some persons who were operating the POS were unknown to the federal government. And what will be the difference? What is the essence of these registration? What is it to checkmate and all of these? The highlight is what we'll be taking a look at today. And don't also forget the fact that all the top stories we'll be looking at the fact that Tinubu's panel that was set up has now proposed a VAT removal for food, education, and healthcare. We'll take a look at that very story and also to the reaction to the fact that the presidency is back and what is expectations as Nigerians are still yearning on the economic hardship that we're facing every day. Joining me for the program today on the decks is Akanimo Basi, who is a legal practitioner. Of course, is joining us here live on the studio. Good to have you on the program once again.
Good evening. Good to see you again.
Yes, and of course, Jack Court will be joining us on Zoom to take a look, from the perspective that we'll be discussing on the program. And let's get started. CSC registration is on for, they have even given instruction to the police to start arresting illegal POS operators. And Nigerians are asking questions, due to the fact that we also have unemployment, the high rate of unemployment in the country. Should this be the way? The time allocated for this exercise is quite short. Would they be able to manage this? And of course, also to the fact that now that I've given instruction to the police, we may have, very frequent arrests there in the country, which might also cause some chaos. What is your reaction to this effect?
Well, I think it's a good step in the right direction. Government is beginning to, because this is born out of the need for government to clamp down on money laundering, clamp down on terrorism, clamp down on kidnapping, and plug the loopholes that kidnappers and terrorists use to acquire and exchange money. Ordinarily, it is expected that small-scale businesses ought to be registered as business names with the Corporate Affairs Commission. So I don't know what the fools was about. It's a good thing for the country, because at one step, for instance, if the EFCC or other law enforcement agencies charged with combating corruption are able to trace movement of money through a POS, they'll be able to know who owns that machine and go for them. Presently, it's difficult to know anyone other than the fintech operators who issue these machines to persons with just account numbers, and that's all. So I think it's a good step in the right direction. Government is tightening its noose on enforcing the anti-money laundering laws, checking corruption, banditry, and kidnapping too. Because don't forget, much of the ransom that is paid by kidnappers are also being wheeled, they pass through the channels of POS operators. So I think it's a multifaceted approach. However, what will not be good is government attempting to do a kind of mass hijack of the process, or those who will operate in between, frustrating efforts of government and punishing innocent Nigerians. Presently, the Corporate Affairs Commission have made their registration process quite seamless. So with a legal practitioner or with anyone aiding any POS operator, you can conclude the registration of your business name, as it were, within some days. So I think it's the right step in the right direction. And I believe that to go a long way to check the loopholes of money laundering, corruption, kidnapping, and extortion of money.
So many persons are arguing that sometimes you go to POS, they have cash, and then when you visit banks at ATM stands, talk about the culture that we are, of course, witnessing regarding this banking, because what has given rise to these operations, away from the fact that unemployment is also causing these for people to easily venture into that business. We also look at the fact that they are also creating, solving a lot of problems regarding access to cash. Don't you think that federal government or CBN should better tackle the commercial banks to making sure that we have cash on our ATM? Because sometimes you go to ATM, even sometimes POS operators are operating right beside some of the ATM stands we have in the bank. Talk about that culture, which is also having effect on this.
Yeah, this is commonplace in Abuja and Lagos particularly, and most other cities in the country. Well, it is a good thing that if you walk to a POS operator, you see cash. The advent of the POS machines was for convenience and access to funds. However, there appears to be some form of conspiracy from commercial banks to hoard cash or keep away cash and not dispense. The primary purpose of the ATM machines is to dispense cash. The addition of the POS operators was to aid, help, and add as a secondary step for customers and consumers to have access to money. But there appears to be some level of conspiracy by commercial banks, not having cash from the close of banking hours. In fact, some banks actually.
Even at the working hours.
Cash. So I wonder why that is the issue. Some time ago, we remember when there was a clampdown by CBN or certain enforcement of some guidelines that did not allow banks access to voluminous cash, or were told, I stand to be corrected, that they were taking back cash to the CBN vault. However, that shouldn't be the case, because the same banks had some time ago said, if you want to do transactions less than 100,000, go to the POS, go to the ATM machine, sorry. But it now appears that even if you have a transaction of 2,000, you won't see any money from the POS, from the ATM machines to take. And that is worrisome. So we should not Nigerians should not vent their frustration on POS operators, because POS operators were there to make collecting money accessible, easy, and smooth. And that they do. That notwithstanding. In fact, let me even point out that even the same POS operators who came to ease the burden of cash, most times have even been defrauded by unsuspecting members of the public.
So do you feel this registration is also trying to check, to also give them rooms to check that fraud?
Take their businesses serious. But beyond that, what I'm trying to say is that the banks are not living up to their expectation. And I don't know why. Whatever the internal logistic problems are, it is for the good of Nigerians that banks have money. And those who patronize POS operators or POS machines are those who go as a secondary or tertiary option. One should be able to walk up to his or her bank's ATM machine or any ATM machine you find. And I wonder why this is happening in Nigeria, particularly, because if you go outside this country, you will never stand before any ATM machine and be told that there is no cash. Why do we invent and take these things we get from outside and we cannot maintain or sustain them? That begs the question. If you can banks know they cannot load ATM machines with cash, they abandon it completely. And then they allow customers access to them. They open more branches. But you see, it is not even cost effective for banks to operate as many branches as possible when they can have even ATM machines or ATM points scattered around, just to cater for the needs of a majority of Nigerians who run small and medium-scale businesses or even consumers. So the banks need to wake up and sit up to their responsibility.
A big job there for the banks to operate and, of course, to cooperate with the CBN to fight issues of money laundering, which is actually a move. Let's get to connect to the JECOT, who, of course, is joining us via Zoom to also add voice to the conventions today on the decks. Good to have you join us on the program. Okay. I mean, you've seen the fact that the federal government has made a move to for police have given instruction to the security agency to begin areas of illegal or POS operators. There are several reactions to that. I mean, sometimes Nigerians are saying that, these are the people who are helping us to get cash, and the other way around, we go to the banks, we don't have access to cash. Do you feel that the registration is another way of trying to regulate, to regulate the system and the operations, or is also in a way of trying, there are sometimes plan of the government to distract the services of POS? We can't hear you from my end, but probably you may take up your earpiece so that we can actually get the audio here. Or mute your sound, please.
Hello?
All right, a bit to try to fix that. Barrister, take a look at the fact that sometimes government may try to also limit the excessiveness of the operators, and they also may have intentions of trying to distract those operations, because sometimes this may actually be an issue where POS may not, may also start facing what the commercial banks are facing. Access to cash. Do you feel that there may be, some move like that in that operation?
No, I don't think so. I don't even see that coming. It's a good step in the right direction. That doesn't affect the flow of cash. What government is trying to do is let us know who owns these machines, who are running them. Let's know you. And moreover, it will also engender and inspire greater entrepreneurship. Because anyone who goes into POS business will know that he needs to register his business name. And that is good. Good for personal development, good for employment. You will see that after this exercise, rather than reduce the employment opportunities, it will even increase more. Because you have more and more say. Are you even aware that some reports say that some Yahoo, what you call Yahoo or advanced fee fraud operators also have POS machines? You know, you take. I've read and listened to reports from unsuspecting members of the public who say you go to a POS point, you put out your card, he swipes the card on the machine, gets you paid, and once you leave, while you're back home and snoring and sleep, you start seeing alerts. Government needs to know those holding those machines. Yes, the population of those who are creating bad blood and giving that business a bad name may be negligible. But this is a good step in the right direction. I believe, and it is my opinion, and I strongly support that, it will sanitize that industry.
All right, Jacob, if you can connect with us right now, moved by the CSC to get POS operators registered is in a bid to safeguard the economy. Are you agreeing to that assertion by the federal government, or you may differ from the move by the federal government?
No, I think, hope you can hear me now.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a good opportunity talking to you once more, Mr. Edika, and I love the conversation. I think let's be more factual. The federal government, the CBN has done very well. This is a good move in a good direction. You understand? The only issue I think I will have with that issue is in a way it might limit financial inclusion in the rural areas, in rural communities. That's the only issue I have. So I think federal government will need to extend their deadline. July 7th might not be possible because of those operators in the rural community. Now I'll stand with my with facts that what CBN has done, you understand, is to actually curtail the excesses of fraud. You understand? You know, earlier on we've heard, we've seen that CBN have tried to even stop them, the OP, the Kodak Bank, because of their corrupt tendencies with the Binance and the cryptocurrency and so many things there. So CBN is doing a good way to standardize the system and also weed out those people who are trying to corrupt the banking sector. You understand? And whether we like it or not, what this policy is coming to, it will really help Nigerians. You understand? We've seen situation case studies where they have been fraudulently hacked for the POS operators. They need to be registered. It is important they need to be registered. I really support the CBN governor in this direction. It is very good. It's going to affect, you understand, the system, and also going to make business, the ease of doing business in Nigeria more better. Yes, and furthermore, I think it's backed by actually the section 863, you understand, subsection 1 of the Company and Allied Matter, you understand, and also the CBN 2030 CBN guideline on agents banking system. Yes, and so this thing is in the right. I think the new CBN government is actually doing a great job, and I think I really like what I'm seeing here. Yes, sir. Though the national president of the mobile money banking agent in the we totally disagreed with this because they think it's kind of confusing. They think also it's going to frustrate the idea of financial inclusion. You understand? But I think it has been a policy that has been on deliberation since December. So 6 months is enough time to affect such policy. You understand? If the CBN have been quite lenient since December, trying to talk out this policy, I think it's something that they themselves hold the CBN, you understand, a responsibility to actually synthesize the system. It's also an argument that, okay, what about people who are actually being registered, who already have little cell within them. Yes, there are some big operators of POS who have a little cell. Will those other cells be registered going on right now? But for me, I stand on the call of fraudulent acts of it. Listen, if you have your if you have your CAC registration, it will help government track fraudsters. Yes, sir. It will help police work better. Yes, sir. So it will really protect Nigerians. I really commend this. This is a beautiful one.
All right, thank you for your contributions to that very conversation. Let's move away from that to the fact that the panel, the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, has revealed that its committee will be proposing removal of VAT on some basic food, education, and healthcare items. And I mean, some of these are issues that Nigeria are having to deal with, issues of tax, issue of VAT, and all of that. Barrister, you've also been seeing the fact that Nigerians have been reacting. We'll be coming to issue of cybersecurity levy, but take a look at the fact that healthcare, basic education, I mean, some level of, the essence of why government, the essence of why we have government, because if we are trying to pay everything, I mean, every day, issue of tax, you go your tax, you go your VAT, Nigerians are not in any way taking these things so easily. Take a look at this move by the committee to actually review this. Do you feel that this must be commended?
Yes, it is commendable, but Nigerians, I've said it here before and even on several other similar fora, that Nigerians make a lot of noise with the things they ought to do quietly, which is even good. Why are you announcing that you will propose? When you even propose and have it done first. Take a look at the areas where they are proposing tax waivers. Food, education, healthcare. These are essential elements of common life, and this is where most of the people need a relief. When government was busy sharing palliatives to politicians and in the name of alleviating the hardship that came with the removal of fuel subsidy, this is one of the first things I expected the government through that tax reform committee to have done, to bring down VAT completely or completely eliminate it on anything that concerns food, because it has to do with consumption, not because of everyone eats, but that would be a relief to those who find it even very difficult to afford. And you say to bring down the price of food. So it's very commendable. Healthcare, I don't know to what extent they are removing VAT on. Is it on health equipment or provision of health services? If it is the provision of health services, fine. If it is on health equipment, that's collecting, giving out with your right hand and taking back with the left. Because any serious hospital that imports or gets equipment and pays VAT would definitely want to have that VAT or tax deduction find its way back into the billing and services. Education, fine, but we have been saying so many things about reducing or giving subsidy education, and yet we still are where we are. But I think it's my opinion that it is a good step in the right direction. What we expect to see is its implementation. The committee should stop telling us what they are proposing. I don't know why it will take them many months to tell us what they are proposing, and instead of what government has actually approved. So let's see government at work, let's see action. Like we are seeing a lot of insensitivity in some areas and a lot of tight nosing on other areas. But you see, the good part of this is it also shows government is working. The agencies of government are getting busy and innovating by the day. So those who criticize the policies of government should be looking at not just its effect on the ordinary people, but what other benefits is government even trying to achieve? And that we should commend. I've drawn the areas, for instance, when we talked about having POS operators register their businesses with the Corporate Affairs Commission. Apart from the fact that it is a provision of CAMA, Companies and Allied Matters Act, that anyone who intends to do business in Nigeria must have it registered. It is also a way of sanitizing that industry and reducing the risk and threats of corruption, fraud, and cases associated with the abuse of the POS machine. Because these people are just middlemen, money points you call it. A lot may be going on. Terrorism can be funded through money points and these POS operators. So it's a good step, like I said, but those proposing, or that committee proposing tax relief on those core areas of human existence, particularly for Nigeria, is commendable. I commend them for proposing, but I'm waiting to commend them for the implementation. Because it is one thing to propose and have Nigerians clap for you, and it's another thing for Nigerians to still yawn under the yoke or groan under the yoke of multiple taxation as we are seeing presently.
I mean, you agree with me that the VAT is actually placing a huge impact on Nigeria's business, because sometimes you enter some restaurant, at the end of the bill you see a high rate of VAT, which is also transmitted to what they are paying to government. So do you feel that this will also relieve business operations? Because like it or not, small businesses are crumbling in the country. Even some people are even saying that even foreign investors are folding up, leaving the country. Do you feel that issue of tax or issue of VAT is also playing a role in this regard?
No, I don't really think it's about those businesses. I also see it from the point that government's multifaceted pronged approach is also to help alleviate poverty. Take for example, taking away giving tax waivers on food primarily will ensure food security and bring down prices of foodstuffs. Because don't forget, the food chain involves a lot of other factors, expenses, embodiment of logistics. If, for instance, a truck carrying foodstuff moving from point A to point B, or a company involved in the manufacturing, processing, or production of food, or agro-food, or food items, is given a tax relief of VAT, don't you think that will find a way in also getting down to the final price of that foodstuff? Yes, it will. Look at education too. Education is expensive ordinarily. I remember when I was growing up, there used to be a nursery rhyme we used to sing. It said, if you feel education is expensive, try ignorance. But the point is, more and more Nigerians need to be given access to quality, not just education, quality education. And this comes as a price, at a price. So if there would be tax reliefs on educationally related logistics, educational materials, books, provision of services related with direct impact on education. Beautiful. It will bring down the cost of acquiring quality education. The same with healthcare. But you see, we need to see government do this, not that it is being talked about. Nigerians want to see the implementation of these tax waivers. And that takes me to the cybersecurity levy that is being about to be implemented from May 20. I don't know why Nigerians are making noise about that, because from the moment that law was a bill in the National Assembly, that is where the anger of Nigeria...
The issue of cybersecurity, we'll be coming to that. Jacob, let me get your reaction regarding these issues of VAT removal on food. Do you feel that this will also add? This is a proposal. This is just a proposed by the Presidential Committee. It's not yet implemented. We don't know if the federal government will see need for this, because sometimes the Nigerians are accusing that this government is government of taxation by the taxation for the taxation. So are you agreeing to the fact that this will also relieve Nigerians?
Yes, I think that's it. As a proposal, it is. What the chairman, the President Committee on Fiscal Policy and Taxation, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, is doing, it's a step in the right direction, putting to the fact that Nigerians for the past 10 months have been suppressed by the policy on in the petroleum industry. Yes, with the removal of subsidy and the effect and the impact that's created in the economy. Nigerians are suffering, and if this policy goes through, it will affect the poor strongly. It will possibly affect the poor. You understand? It will add so much support to them. You understand? Because that is targeted at the poor. It's a policy for the poor. That is if the president will approve of that. Proposing is one thing. Approval by the president, giving an executive order, is another thing. You understand? Because food, you can't take in economies, you can't take the three basics of fundamental needs of man, which is food, shelter, and clothing. You understand? So if we could look at food, you understand how we can help the people, you understand, to actually live a better life. It's going to go a very long way to help Nigerians. For education is key. Is paramount. We've seen the government who has talked about during the campaigns and stuff like that, who have talked about how they intend to actually regulate and how they intend to upgrade the education standard in Nigeria. But yet we are yet to see in teachers training and the rest of that. So, but there are other things to education. You understand? How would these children, and the last government was talking about school feeding program. You can see that it's interwoven. You understand? If you remove VAT on food, you understand, it will also affect education. But the question is the current government doing
propose to get some VAT removed on health, food, and some of these concerns by the committee. We're looking forward to see how this gets to work out in the course of the affairs of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, if this works. And let's get to the very controversial concern. The issues of cybersecurity is quite still on, as the House of Representatives has asked the CBN to suspend the exercise. This was a move by a member representing Obiakpo Federal Constituency at the House of Representatives earlier today at the plenary. I mean, Nigerians were actually not in any way taking this easy. We've also seen the steps, I mean, what it means to Nigerians, the levy and all of that concern. And now that the House of Reps have kicked against this, do you feel that this may be considered? I understand that it passes through law. We have had many Nigerians do not know the fact that this ever existed. Now that they have implemented, it seems it's like a thief coming to point your gun to say, give me some money. That's what Nigerians are taking, this exercise will be right now.
Well, I don't know what the honorable member representing Obiakpo Federal Constituency in the House of Representatives is talking about. Because that bill passed through the House of Representatives and also passed through the Senate. No,
I mean, the content of the bill, before it was down passed, did he had spelled the fact that Nigerians will be taxed to get levy?
Yes, every bill is read on the floor. And of course, whatever has been passed as the act is an embodiment of what was passed, was what was proposed as a bill. So it wasn't new. What I expect to see members of the National Assembly do as legislation is to amend that law. If they are not pleased with its implementation, amend it. Not saying, asking the relevant agency of government empowered by that law to suspend its implementation. That does not sound logical. Because look at it from this perspective. This is why Nigerians need to be more interested in the legislative activities of the legislative arm of government. When a parliament calls for a public hearing, Nigerians need to be keenly interested in what people say, how they say it, points that are articulated, and propose resolutions that can be reached at the end of such public. But Nigerians care less. Most times we don't even know when these things go on at different parliaments and houses of assembly. This particular law, which is the Nigerian Cyber Crimes Act, went through the layers of all legislative processes. If there was any time that an opposition to this law would have come, it would have come at the stage it was a bill. When it has been ratified through a committee and passed into law, and then people wake up and start shouting. What I want the National Assembly to do now is to amend that law and not even make noise about it. Whether it was done before now or it was done at their time, they should amend the law. Because a law as created by an act of the National Assembly must be implemented by the executive. I don't want to go into the import or purport or consequences of that law until its full implementation, but it is better imagined than told.
All right. I'll take a look at this levy. I understand that there are some argument by the part of government and even the directive by the CBN that it is for the common good to safeguard Nigerians from foreign hacking and all of that. We've also the rare cases, the fact that Binance went with over, I think, 100 billion or thereabout regarding this issue, and that if this was put in place, this would have avoided. We would have avoided that. Do you feel that even when we have cybersecurity, that this may be a fight back to that? To that attempts by foreigners to get extort Nigerians? And also, do you also think that we needed to wait till this levy is being implemented for us to be safe? What happened to the office of the National Security Advisor at the office of the NSA? What has he done so far? Now that he wants us to give him some levy to get to tackle some of this issue.
Well, talking about cybersecurity, Nigerians have been involved in cybersecurity long before now.
We have been victims of it.
The cybersecurity levy, I don't know how the cybersecurity levy will enable the Office of National Security Advisor to prevent or checkmate cyberbullying or cyber crime. However, the levy as it were is not an issue. The issue is the way and manner government is bringing its implementation at a time that fuel subsidy has been removed and tariffs have been increased for
electricity.
Supply. You see, no matter how good a bill or law made by an act of the National Assembly or Parliament is, government needs to be sensitive to the timing it brings it for implementation. So the timing is a problem. the law is not the problem. To some extent, anyway, it will sanitize, not totally, the banking industry. It will also regulate inflow, unnecessary inflow of cash that is illicit. Because those who will be passing illicit funds will know that they will pay more. So while government even goes after illicit flow, they also charge, they take back from these flows. However, for me, that is not the issue. The issue is what is the impact it will have on the everyday life of ordinary Nigerians. Those who are trying to save money and take these monies to pay for legitimate bills. I understand the CBN has actually issued a guideline on waivers, those transactions that are exempted from this levy. One of them is intra-bank transactions. You know, movement of money from one customer's account to his own account, maybe in another bank. That is fine. And transactions that have to do with NGO, foreign aid, and those are good. But I'd like to see government expand that list and look at areas that will not impact the free flow of business or impact the free flow of business initiatives, especially as it affects small and medium scale enterprises. Because that will also mean muzzling and emasculating the business public.
All right, Jacquot, what is your contributions to this move by the federal government? I mean, the House of Reps are reacting to cybersecurity levy. What is your reaction to that?
For that, I think the CBN has come in that area because the CBN government needs to be invited to actually synthesize and also chase the lawmakers. Yes, they cannot be operating in different. They need to coerce themselves together because the CBN cannot be bringing one policy on the other hand, and the lawmakers are looking at it from the other angle. He needs to be invited so that he can enlighten them, so that they can make proper law and everybody can be in the same level of cohesion. You understand? For the National Security Advisor, you understand, he has been on this issue over time and he really wants it to be done because it will take Nigeria to an international and regional standard of operating this law. We as a country, we are quite behind and we need to effect this law. You understand? And I think this is the right time and this is the right momentum that is needed. Yes, and it will really help and also it will boost investors' confidence, especially the foreign investors, to understand that yes, Nigeria is at the right path. It will also slow down. It will also help in counter-terrorism and a whole lot of things around this law. So I think it's a right step in the right direction. Implementation is key.
All right, Barrister, take a look at 1 million over 5,000. I mean, the issue of 0.5%. That's what also what Nigerians are not taking easy. I mean, if you want to tax, if you look at the statistics of those making use, I mean, those banking with the commercial banks we have, they will raise over 4 trillion, over 3 trillion or thereabout. There was the statistics release that confirms this. Do you feel that the 0.5% issue of transferring 1 million now, but they're charging you over 5,000? I mean, getting 1,000 at the issues of this, isn't that too high for a start? Don't you think that maybe 0.2 would have actually be a bite, but a little bite from Nigerians because it is not considerate enough?
Yes, now you're talking. That's true. Like I said earlier, the law itself is not bad. What is bad is the modus operandi. And even the percentage 0.5, I don't know how they arrived at that. At a time like this, when government should be alleviating the suffering of Nigerians as a result of its economic policies, which are actually good in the long run, we should be looking at less taxation, less levying, less taking from consumers. Yes, I know government is impediment. It is important and imperative for government to raise funds because government is going to go on mass taxation to raise funds instead of borrowing. It is better to tax than borrow. However, what are you taxing?
How are you taxing?
Are you taxing money that is saved? Why are you taxing money that is being saved? A small and medium scale businessman is trying to save money probably to buy equipment to engage or progress his business. You are taking money from there in the name of cybersecurity law. Yes, we understand you have to protect the security of the pathway and transactions that he holds, but that percentage appears to be high at the moment.
Over 4 trillion now.
No, it leads the statistics released by the MBS. Nigerians have a way of cooking up statistics to be able to paint the true intentions of government bad. It is not even established. those are mere they are speculation.
But going by the bank users, you argue with the fact that...
They are all speculating. Do Nigerians have data? Do Nigerians have quality data? Or data that can be relied on?
Okay, dismissing that fact, you still understand that it's quite still high. I mean,
yeah, of course it's high.
That kind of a transaction.
The when I saw the reported statistics from the MBS putting trillions, who kept that record? And with Nigeria, government agencies have never been known to release reliable data. And why do they release data is
that too small or too...
They claim to be reliable only when it has to do with taxation. Tell us how much you are spending on the legislatures. Tell us how much you are spending on bloated expenses of government. Stop giving us figures of the volume of transactions, majority of which are business transactions from small and medium scale enterprises. So that's where I want government to look at. If you are amending the law, reduce the percentage. It will not be bad if you take 0.01, not 0.5. What about 0.1 or less? Nigerians are groaning under the weight of harsh economic policies. So, as much as government is taxing, I expected this present administration to tax the rich and waive taxes for the poor.
I mean, Peter Obi has reacted to that. He said that taxation is about investment. You have to invest in the people before you start taxing. That Tinubu is actually trying to do what the operandi at Lagos, issues of the fact that politics have also come to play. That this is what he did in Lagos. He taxed businesses, he taxed the people, and all of that. That he's also trying to use that measurement and that yardstick to operate the country. That he hasn't invested in the people. Government have not invested enough on the people, so they can't get back on from the people.
I agree with His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi on the issue of government increasing its investment on human capital. But I totally disagree with him on saying that government has not invested enough in people and it wants to tax them. That is not correct. And there are a lot of intervention programs, especially through the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, through the CBN, through the Ministry of Finance.
Has there been an impact?
Yes, of course. You see, the problem is the media must also report the impact. Because I think the impact is underreported. You see, let me make you understand something. An average Nigerian sees nothing good in government because of the failure of leadership in the past years.
How about engagement?
So there is nothing government will say that Nigerians, I keep saying that government as an institution needs to win back the confidence of Nigerians. So let's not go there. I disagree with Mr. Peter Obi on the area of saying that it is the model President Tinubu used in Lagos. I disagree with that. Taxation is a policy worldwide. Many governments around the world are taxing themselves, taxing their population. But what I want to see this government do, if it is friendly with the poor, is to tax the rich and minimize the taxes for the poor. That way, you do not widen the gap of wealth distribution.
Because that's actually sending a lot of people back to more poverty in this reform. Jacob, let me get your view on the fact that Peter Obi accused President Tinubu to be taxing more. I mean, when he hasn't invested already on the people, and also accuse him of the fact that this was a operandi in Lagos, and bringing that to the country is also not. It shouldn't be the way due to the fact that Nigerians are going through what we describe as a lot.
Yeah, I think what Peter Obi, the position of Peter Obi is quite clear. It's clear in the sense that from the political point of view, it's coming from an opposition, and as an opposition, you need to be very critical in your criticism and constructive in your criticism. And I think I read through what Peter Obi said, and I think I would totally agree with him. Yes, sir. President Tinubu, the last time I was on your program, I talked about having an effective and a vibrant economic team. You understand? In as much, we know you as a person or as a leader who believes in taxation. You did that in Lagos State as a governor. You understand? Now you're coming to the central, and you're still living that. You understand? And with the impact of the negative impact of the fuel subsidy. So Tinubu needs to look critically into his taxation policies. I also agree with the barrister there with you. You understand? Look at the rich. You understand? Tax more on the rich. You understand? Then ensure how you can meet up with the poor. You understand? The removal of tax on food and education is actually understand. Yes, it's good, but there are other levels of tax which we need to look how you can actually generate money. Yes, you have a lot of lofty plans ahead. You have the coastal road which you're trying to build, which will demand a lot of money from the federal government. Yes, you also have external debt which you need to pay. You understand, the Chinese government is on your neck and the rest of it, which the last administration did behind and stuff like that. But at the same time, in your taxation strategy, you should look at tackling taxation from the rich. Invest more in the rural communities. That is my submission for now, and that's the best I can say. I totally agree with what Peter Obi has said, that Tinubu should review his taxation policy and ensure that Nigeria don't suffer.
All right, I mean, life must be easy for Nigerians, and that's what government, the essence of why we have government. Many days ago, some few days ago, Nigerians were expecting the return of the president from Netherlands from his official visit. And yesterday, earlier the week, we had the fact that the presidency announced the return of the president from Netherlands. Today, he has resumed office, and many Nigerians are also looking forward to see if all of the issues that Nigerians are having to deal with will be urgently fixed and addressed by the president. The presidency is back. Do you feel that he was a man who stopped the job to be done by the ministers, who stopped the job to be done by directors of agencies and parastatal? I mean, all of those people that government are spending a lot of funds to take care of.
Well, that's on the very funny side. Nigerians should leave Mr. President alone. Mr. President, of course, being the president of a country is a public property. I agree to that extent. But then, as much as it's a public property, he's also, he owns himself and has the latitude to give himself a break whenever he desires. Because one thing is important. This country lost the president some time back because of workload. He was sick, and then he had to travel. I'm sure if that man, I'm just assuming, was not stressed, probably President Muhammadu would have stayed with him.
So the house or the job?
Of course, he didn't ask to suffer and die. He asked to work. However, the point that must be laid is it's not even about where the president goes or how the president moves. Nigerians will continue to talk even if the president goes nowhere. What is the missing link is communication from his media team. They have a duty to let Nigerians know where Mr. President is part-time for purposes of information. I understand for security reasons too, they need not say exactly where Mr. President is part-time. Because don't forget too, in some African countries, when presidents travel out, soldiers take opportunity to catch them if there's issues. But then, Mr. President has been run the stable government, and there has never been a lacuna in government. The cancellation of the trip of the vice president to the US had to do with the aircraft, and that is very true. I don't know why Nigerians continue to believe in conspiracy theories, that was damage control. So are they saying that the presidential aircraft he only flies in heaven? He's not my man. He can develop a fault.
Are you undermining the fact that it may also be a damage control?
No, I don't think it is. Then why would they use the presidential jet for that matter? A jet that carries Mr. President, that's taking a joke taken too far. So it is normal. The presidential jet has been flying too many. So it also needs to go for maintenance. So it's very possible. How would you see that His Excellency the Vice President had issue up there in the air? And then, which one would Nigerians prefer? An air crash involving the presidential plane or a cancellation of his trip?
Don't you think Nigerians
should leave unnecessary mudslinging and let's face issues of government?
I mean, you're talking about that. Away from the fact that he's back, who left or who is not around. The job, getting the job, done is what Nigerians are also looking at. This 1 year, we'll be celebrating another first anniversary. A man that told us from the one that he will hit the ground running. I understand that sometimes he's taking with some tough decisions, or he has described his decision to be very tough ones, to be hard ones, and all. And asking Nigerians to exercise patience and the fact that we'll get to better days. It's not weeks, it's not months, we're talking of a year in government. Do you feel that there is a renewed hope already living Nigerians that must be contended with?
But you said it yourself, that he said he will hit the ground running. They've been running. They hit the ground, they've been running. So I don't know what Nigerians expect to see in 1 year.
Over 20 trips.
I don't expect so much in 1 year. presently, the economic policies of
You begin to sound like a politician. Maybe
the
I will
economic policies of this present administration are such that its effect should be judged and evaluated after some years. For example, the removal of the fuel subsidy, the excess savings on crude, Nigerians will be able to see that those will be effects in about 2-3 years. Nothing happens overnight.
I mean, talk about the CNG. CNG buses wasn't supposed to take this long. I mean,
take anything.
These are the issues that we're dealing with. There is no move. There is no attempt by the subsidy removal.
There is no move because the last time I heard a ranking official of the federal government had said that government is also looking in that direction. What I expect to see government do is to ramp up on all its promises and fulfill them.
Jacob, let me get your view. The president is back, and of course, the Nigerians were asking, where is our president? A lot of job to be attempted to, a lot of things to fix. I mean, the country is actually, the tension is quite very high due to the economic hardship already in the country. Do you feel that if the return will have any impact on whatever we Nigerians are still facing right now? Or you agree with what Academo is saying that we should give him more 2 years? I think there's a, can you get me now?
I don't agree of giving it. We have given him 11 months already. 11 months is enough for us to begin to see the gains of electing him into office. That's enough time. You understand? What we do is still an APC government. You understand? It is not a PDP government that we can give them some time to now restructure and do all the things they want to do. It's still this government. He's still working with the same people, partly. You understand? And he understands the pain already of Nigerians when we voted him in. You understand? He promised us for a renewed hope. His travels should be curtailed. He should look into building infrastructure, sustaining infrastructure. If the president has got health issues, he should look at building world-class facility hospitals in Nigeria. That's one of the failures of the last government. Not traveling every time when we need you. His people are crying. Nigerians are crying. We need results. We don't need you traveling everywhere. You have got ministers to do most of your jobs for you. Except his exclusive travels, which you understand that he needs to be there, which we know strategic travels, which are very, very important. But any travels that in the disguise of investment forum or investment summit, we don't need him to travel that. What is the travel? If he's going for medical leave, let him tell Nigeria he's going for medical leave, and let him look inward and build our infrastructure. You understand? Let him build the good hospitals here so that he doesn't need to travel anymore. You understand? So I don't agree with him traveling up and down. Let him come back home and let him build and let him stay in Nigeria, build with us, suffer the pains with us, understands our pain, and let him solve the problems that he needs to solve. Not traveling and throwing taxation policies everywhere and eating more on Nigerians. It is totally unacceptable on my part. Thank you very much.
All right, many thanks, Jacob, for your contributions. As we begin to round up the program, let me take your final view of the fact that, expectation is quite very high. You agree to the fact that some level of the youth that are, that are glamoring, that are agitating, some of the percentage of youth that you agree to the fact that they didn't vote for the president. So sometimes you see these massive reactions by them, and also you look at the fact that the young people are the receiving end to what is happening. The future of this country is at stake. So sometimes when you see a lot of corruptions, when you see a lot of milking of our economy, it makes Nigerians, it makes young people to be very afraid of the future, because confidence must be restored by government. A government is to take care of property, to secure the property, the life of the people, and all of that. Do you feel that there is a reflection of that phase, the government phase? Because sometimes Nigerians seem to operate, as you said, sometimes Nigerians are existing as if, there is no government, I have to fight for myself. So when you give a rising, approaches to people struggling by themselves, fighting for themselves, you may also see the rise of, the crimes and all of that to be facing. Do you feel that the government are taking responsibility for what government really means? Do you feel that the ministers we have are having the face of what government means, away from the issues of trying to push blame or the issue of trying to take an approach to these issues that we are facing?
Let's take them one after the other. First and foremost, Nigerians have a lot of expectations for every government that comes in the day. It doesn't stop, or it's not about which political party. The president is the president of the whole country. And all the responsibilities and expectations of Nigerians rest on him. If the country doesn't go well, you blame Mr. President. If there is relief and people are happy, you thank Mr.
So it's
President.
not out of place that people are actually criticizing.
No. That is the African way. The head bears the burden. The head rules the body. Other parts of the body may not even allow the body to function effectively, but the head will take the blame. So, but what I expect to see this present administration do is to own up to his responsibility. Remember, Mr. President said in his inaugural address that he should not be pitied. He asked for the job. Then do the job. I expect to see the passion and commitment of the president trickle down to all the tiers of government, down to the ordinary people. But it also appears that many government appointees are only there for themselves. So, but by and large, I expect to see government wake up to its responsibilities and reduce the effect of its policies on the lives of ordinary people. Because people are groaning. There are a lot of expectations. And you never can tell. We used to hear that every disappointment is a blessing. You never can tell. Maybe we have something good at the end of the tunnel.
Better days ahead, and that's what the president said.
Sure.
Many thanks, Phone Jacob, public affairs analyst, for joining us on the program. We appreciate your time. And of course, we are at the studio, Barrister Kademo, legal practitioner and public affairs analyst. Many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
And that's the wrap up on the program, where of course we'll take a look at many issues again tomorrow, still in the same time here on Global Television. My name is Edikan Michael. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.